High fashion is where it's at. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Dr. Funk Live podcast. Thank you guys so much for subscribing on Apple Music, on YouTube, on Spotify, and checking us out live on the Facebook fan page and YouTube and Twitch right now. Today, I am very, very honored to have a friend of the show, Paul Peterson, on, who just recently performed at Paisley Park. You guys should know Paul from an extensive lineup, from Being in the Time to The Family to his solo career to F Deluxe to Peterson Leads, LP Music, going on with that funk. So I want to get right into it. I'm excited to have him on. I see Canada up in the house, Australia already. Shout out to Lake Minnetonka over there. We're just going to get into it. Much love, everyone. Welcome, a very friendly welcome to Mr. Paul Peterson. What's going on?
What's up, Dr. Funkenberry?
What's going on, man?
I'm doing good, man. Everything's good here in Minneapolis. It's hotter than my mom used to say, hotter than blazes outside today.
Already?
For the last week, it's 90 degrees plus, man. And I went outside because to show my wife, I said, I've got a coat and long pants on here. She said, you are out of your mind. I said, yeah, you got to do the thing. When you're doing an interview, you got to,
You got to look.
But right? That's right. But it is hot here. It's nice to see you, man.
It's good to see
you.
I
hope you're doing good. You're looking healthy, making me proud, man. We want to get you back on the recovery, get you out running with me.
Yes, thank you. You know, it's much better than it was a few years ago, and still doing the thing. And it was just great to be able to be on my feet for a while and check you guys out jamming last year. Can't believe it was only a little bit over a year ago. It seems like years since I've seen you with everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah, it was a goofy period of time, wasn't it?
For sure. It looks like we are finally exiting it. I'll feel better when we can go without mask everywhere, but for the time being, at least it's as close to normal as it can get, right?
Yeah, they're really relaxing it here in Minneapolis quite a bit. I mean, I was so blessed not to get that. My daughter and her boyfriend got COVID. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law had COVID. Luckily enough,
wow,
they made it through fine. I did not get it. So, I mean, I was super careful. We weren't traveling. Did a lot of recording in this room. Just for your fans, this room that I'm in is the house I grew up in. And this basement has seen more rehearsals since the 1950s than you could ever possibly imagine. If these walls could talk,
That's ridiculous and awesome at the same time. Now, you just performed at Paisley Park on Monday, kind of like a surprise performance. You were doing a few hit and run shows there.
It was a, like a pop-up concert. I've done some stuff with those guys out there. It's nice to go back there. Always great to see Mitch and Kirk and all the good people out there. And I got to run into Julius Collins and Tommy Barbarella, and those, I've known those guys for a long time. So it was a home week out there on Monday, and we had a ball, and it was loose, and it was not pretentious, and we were just having a good time. And it was good to get music back in the NPG room.
Right.
Of course, I was like, it feels good to have music in this room, doesn't it, Paisley Park people? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, come on now. But they're receptive to that. I really think they're trying to move in that direction to do that kind of stuff there, And of course, I encourage that, and they should. That's what that place is for.
Very awesome. And it came like it was a surprise, at least to the fans, which was awesome. Like when you went live, I was like, wait, what's going on here? Is that Paisley?
Well, I didn't. I asked for forgiveness after I did that. But they knew. They don't care because you could take pictures in that portion anyways. But I thought it'd be fun to include the fans and those who couldn't make it on that special day. And, I know P didn't celebrate his birthday, but we did it for him. We celebrated him.
He would be like, good, you can age for me.
Yeah, exactly right. And you know what? We did. So there you go.
There you go.
And if it was a surprise and fun for folks, that's all I can hope for. We had a good time. It was really chill and loose and musical and fun.
How long did you rehearse before like that happened? How long were you guys doing that for? If you don't mind me asking or knowing.
Well, I only did 15 minutes, and it was just me and a guitar. I just sat and where is it? Oh, I was gonna say I'll pull it out and play a little bit, but all I did was a couple of Prince songs, and I did, of course, I had to do Nothing Compares to You. So me and a guitar and a microphone and a piano.
So you did a couple Prince songs and your song, or the song that you did.
He wrote for me, yeah, and that was it. So it was about him. It wasn't about me. So that's what I made the focus of to do that and celebrate his music. And we had a ball, and the fans had fun. I made them sing, and it was very cool.
Definitely. And I know that you've been doing that with the Minneapolis All-Stars, performing some Prince's back catalog, and it's been funky, and I appreciated hearing it. I look forward to hearing it again in a better sound system for sure.
We're having fun with that. It's good to look back at the history and to be able to include the folks that were around during that time. That's why I put that project together. We've had fun with it here, started doing some touring, and of course we shut it down, or they shut us down last year. But we are starting to come back. We got a couple of gigs on the books. I'm hoping to take that back to Australia, the big version of that. We didn't call it the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars there. We called it Nothing Compares to Prince. And it was great. Oh, and I saw Taika the other day, too, who was involved with that particular installment of the band. And she, the Nelson family has been very good to me. And I feel like their family, too. So it's very cool.
That's good. It's always good to hear. I'm glad Taika was there. I'm glad the family has been receptive. Now, with going on, and you said you have dates lined up, I know it must have been so hard this past year, just being able to, having to stay in and not being able to perform. You may have your basement, but it isn't the same. Like, how excited is it going to be performing in front of crowds again, whether it's in Australia or at the Ice House?
Well, it's what I'm put on earth to do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We did a few shows last year. One with actually we did a show this year in April with the Peterson brothers. I don't know if the fans know that, but I came out with a record along with my brother Ricky, who produced Most Beautiful Girl in the World and Gold Experience. It's Ricky Peterson and the Peterson brothers, and it's a funky instrumental, old school organ. I'm playing drums on it, believe it or not. Yeah, so that's been fun. We're doing that, and we've been getting some nice airplay on that. What else have we done? Some Peterson family gigs, but it was a tough year. So you got to always reinvent yourself. I can't possibly sit still. So I happened to create this series called Funk Friday, and we are 60. Tomorrow will be our 66th episode, and awesome. One of the byproducts of this thing, it was actually to get people to go listen to my podcast, Music on the Run, but it turned into a completely different animal. And I've had over 95 world-class musicians. I just happen to be wearing the t-shirt here. We've had over 95 world-class musicians play, and we do it for the love. There's no money in it. It's a 1-minute song. I come up with a song every single week, so it's kept me creative, right? And I send it out to my friends. They play on it, and they use their iPhone and send the video back to me, and we just compile it all, and we've been having a ball with it. So you just have to kind of reinvent and put your energies elsewhere. Right. And that's exactly what I did. And I painted this room. That's what I did with my downtime.
It looks like it's this gray. Am I wrong?
It's nice and gray. That's right, Jeremiah.
It's awesome. Looking good. Yeah, what you have to do during situations like this. This is what, I did. My show was audio, and I always enjoyed doing video back in the day, but the technology wasn't there and the company went under. But with COVID, I decided to bring back the video because the format was there again. So you have to adapt with what you did, you know, especially if it's in your blood. You have to look for different ways, just like with the music industry constantly evolving. You have to look for different ways to get in, you know, for sure.
That's true. And that's what my daughter's dealing with that right now. My daughter's an incredible artist. She goes by the name Jean Taylor, Jeanne Taylor. Go check her out. She's on Spotify and all the other things. She's got an incredible voice, and she's out in LA trying to become a rock star, which I hope she will, because she's got the goods. And yeah, she's got to reinvent new ways to get noticed. And shit, I'd be in rough shape if I had to compete on that level. These guys have to figure it out all on their own. But you know, us old geezers, we just keep doing what we're doing. When we format it in a different way, package it differently, as long as it's authentic and it's done with authenticity and heart and funk or rock, whatever the case may be, man, it's all good. As long, I mean, I'm having fun. I'm still having fun. I ain't going anywhere, I don't think. But you know, I'm grateful for every day, every time I get to make music, every time I get to pick up the guitar and I still can play. I'm a happy guy, man. Pivot, awesome. Pivot, says Laura. That's right, Laura. You got to, right? You snooze, you lose. You don't adapt, you die. So that's what we do. But I've always been that guy.
And I saw your daughter perform. The last time you were out here, you called her on stage to perform. And she did make sure to get some video of it and post it on the Facebook page. So we got some video of that of her performance for sure.
Well, I think we sang, or she's saying, "I Can't Make You Love Me," that Bonnie Raitt did. What a song! Corey Eischen. Corey Eichen's on here. He helped me with some of the tracks on the Minneapolis Funk All-Star stuff. You know, we can't replicate all that stuff, so we have some trickery, maybe a trickery that we do. But it's, you know, we all play, but there's some stuff that we have to put on there. But Corey is a bad dude, and he's doing some stuff with help Corey Marshall. Yeah, he's doing some stuff with Marshall, and I think Marshall's now in Vegas doing a whole Prince tribute there, if I'm not mistaken. Good folks, man.
Craziness, small world, right?
Corey, call me soon, man. We need to catch up, brother.
Now, what's going on with Leeds and Peterson and F Deluxe or the family? What's going on with any stuff for there? Are you guys thinking about recording new music? That was a question that we had on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah, well, that's always a question. We don't have any formal plans as of now,
right?
But that doesn't mean that plans can't change. And in fact, I spoke to Eric. Oh boy, a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't really even formally put out the LP music record, except for a few things over, like at the Electric Fetus, and then the people who supported us on our fundraising campaign. So I'm like, Eric, why are we sitting on this music? So I think we'll put that up on some site and get that out. I am just finishing my record, so I'm just letting that kind of take a back seat. And then when I can come up for air here, I've got some things like that I got to do, and I got to put my old catalog up too. So as far as F Deluxe, I'm going to call the gang and see if I can't get a gig on the books for the fall. You know, we got to do one gig a year. We didn't get one last year, and and Susanna's kids now are, I think, either both in college or one is in college. So she might actually be able to travel a little bit. Now, I'd love to go do some stuff in the States and maybe do some stuff in Europe. And
right, we'd love to have you out here in LA and wherever, because at the Largo, you guys performed there, and there was like someone's guitar that was left on for a lot of the performance, if you remember that. But I'd love to see you guys out here to do it again.
Yeah, we got to figure out a good club to do that, and maybe that club I played in that, you know, the last time I was there, the Herb Alpert's Club would be a good club for that. Although if we get all the Prince fans to come out, it might be too small.
We'll have to figure out, especially because I think everyone's hungry for music, and I think they'll be hungry for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it's just a matter of figuring it out, man. We'd love to do that. Somebody's asking, Mel's going, how's the lovely Susanna? She's still lovely. I'm here to report she's still lovely. There you go.
So, yeah. Now, with your catalog, since you brought it up, you know, some stuff, whether it's like 7 inches, of course, with the family, with high fashion, and then there's like a version of it, and then you have the promo, which was just white. I think with this one you have Susanna's Pajamas as the B-side. With this one, it's just high fashion on both sides.
Oh, cool.
You see it, yeah. So,
how readily available are those? They're all on eBay, right?
See, I probably got this like decades ago, so it may be harder. Right. And then some of the prices on here, you're not going to find it for that price anymore. Like if you had if you had a trunk of these, like it'd get you through a few months, I'm sure. And of course, like the one with the photo, Screams of Passion.
Oh yeah, man! Look, who's that tiny kid on there with the smoking jacket on?
I mean, it's just crazy, Paul. You couldn't even grow facial hair then, huh?
Yeah, and now, no, and Barrett, man, I wasn't even growing into my body at that. I was such a little kid back in those days.
I mean, what's funny is you look older in this photo.
Go the other way. There you go.
Yeah, you look older there. Maybe it's the suit instead of pajamas.
I think it's the hair in the suit. I mean, Prince used to call that my tossed salad hairdo. And Uncle Earl used to whip that up. So it would take me longer to get ready to go out than it would take my girlfriend at the time, who happens to be my wife of 30 years. So I'd have my curling iron heating up. So I had to curl it all back, put a little Brill cream in. Oh, look at that Rich Man record. Dang, dude.
Loving it.
Wow, that's so cool.
With you guys. So
wait, you should there. Where is it on my screen? There it is, right above my base.
Yep. So,
I got all that stuff, or not all that, but I got my whole family on my wall behind me. Lots of glare. Oh, intimacy. I got a new. I have a follow up to that a friend of mine that I toured with wrote for me by the name of Daniel March, a great Aussie, one of my new dear friends, a young cat who can play and sing his ass off. He wrote a song called Another Glass of You that has an intimacy vibe to it. It's coming out on my new record in September. So I'm anxious for you to hear it, man.
Yeah, tell us about it. We'd love to hear about it, man. We've been fiending for new music here.
Well, I've been working on music, of course, like every other musician, all through COVID. So we're going to include the 2 singles that I put out, You Gotta Love and Something in the Water. Probably many Forget-Me-Nots as well. That'll be part of this European release. But I've got new songs. I've written with, who have I written? I'm trying to think now, nothing's happening. Oliver Lieber, Daniel March, I did a lot of writing with Jason, my nephew, and I did some writing on my own, and got some great special guests on there. Some of the drummer in Daryl Hall's band on Live from Daryl's House, Brian Dunn, is on there. He's killing. Percussionist from Chicago, Ramon Islas is on it. Lenny Castro from Toto's percussionist is on it. I mean, it's my cronies, you know, and we're just having fun. It's funky. There's some funk rock because that's some of my roots too, you know. And I'm really excited for you to hear it. In fact, I've been busy this week. In this company that I'm working with wants to put out vinyl, and you guys, in order to get vinyl pressed, it takes 6 months now.
It's ridiculous.
So it's ridiculous.
We need more.
They reserve. Well, I'm thinking about opening up a damn vinyl plant. You know.
I'm with you on that, man. I am
We
with you.
only need about $500,000 from you, $500,000 from me, and $500,000 from Sandra Morales.
Let me tell you.
Okay, yeah.
Let me tell you. Like every time I've been playing the lotto over the past year, everyone's like, "What would you do with it?" And I'd be like, "Opening up a record plant," because vinyl is having a huge resurgence, and because how little record plants there are, they're so backed up. That's why it's taking 6 months.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm all about a record plant. I'm glad you're thinking that way too. So we just need 1.4 million.
A pittance, really.
We'll make it work. Now,
yeah, get a sugar daddy. Who said Hoffman Williams says get a sugar dad? Oh, that's a good idea. How many instruments do I play? I'm just reading some of these questions. Look at Corey Tollefson, brother, man. I'm calling you. I know you got it. Come on now. How many instruments do I play? I don't know. I not that many. I play drums, bass, guitar, keys. What else do I play? That's about it, really. I mean, but with being able to play that, you can, with computers the way they are, you can play any instrument. Yeah. But those are the ones that I've kind of narrowed it down to. When I was a kid, I used to play sax, but I was freaking awful. So I passed and left that to the professionals.
A question that we have from Twitter. All right, then. How difficult was it for Paul to learn all the synth parts and the choreography when he joined the time? He must have beat out a lot of good MPLS players for that gig.
So you're going to laugh. So I think a lot of you know the story. I was just graduated from high school. I was up being a naughty boy and drinking and whatnot up at the lake with my dear friend who lives across the street. And got a phone call from my brother-in-law that says, you have to get your butt down here. You have an audition for the time. And I'm like, okay. So long story short, I was supposed to get the tape, far ahead of my audition. And of course it never came. I get the dang thing that, if I recall correctly, the night before my audition, so I had to learn all this stuff. I didn't have the sense that they had, and they weren't concerned about that, but I had to attempt to know all this stuff, sing it, be able to dance, which I was stiff as a board, probably still am. But it was right here in this basement. That's where I was learning all that stuff, right? And that, I mean, literally, for those of you who joined late, this is the house I grew up in. And so much of my Prince experience was experienced in this house. This is where Prince would deliver songs for me to learn for the family record. This is where the cassette was delivered for me to learn for the songs for my audition for the time. I guess that's a very long answer to say it was a lot to take in when you're 17 years old.
For sure.
I was out of my element, and musically I could hang, I think, but it was a different story because my family is more of a bebop / R&B family. So we come from an improvisational side. And you got to understand, when you join Prince's fold, you play something we call parts, which means you play one thing, you don't stray or color outside the lines. And that was hard. That was the hardest part of it all. I had to no, don't play that. So I had to reteach myself, just play what you're supposed to play, because all of those together make it sound like the record. So,
and of course he liked you because after that he's gonna put a band around you. Like when he starts talking about this stuff, I know it's been talked about before, but it has to be like, hey, Paul, would you like to lead a band? Here it is, especially after the success of Purple Rain. It has to be around then. How mind-blowing was that? Were you like,
pretty much? I don't think so, Prince. No. The story of what you have heard, if you know anything about my career, is that we were sitting in a circle. He said, everybody's left. We're going to form a new band. And he pointed at me and said, you're going to be the new lead singer. Yeah, it was a pretty unbelievable, surreal moment that the hottest artist on planet Earth picked me. And to this day, I never take that for granted. And that the memory of that particular meeting is so ingrained in my brain. I remember where I was in that warehouse where we were. Paisley wasn't even built yet, of course. It was the same place where we were rehearsing for the time, and then we ended up ultimately doing the family record, if I'm recalling that correctly. But dude, it was unbelievable. I mean, what a gift. What a gift.
Crazy. So many people would die to be in that position. But then here it is. And we're just going to go over this really quick just because it's all been covered before. But for those people that actually heard it, and of course, the new fans, it wasn't as glamorous as it turned out to be. Your album comes out, you can't wait to do this stuff, and then there's nothing going on. And it's just like, you weren't getting paid a lot, and it's understandable, you know. And I forget the manager that you had at the time that was kind of like, where you're not under contract, let's get you a gig. But look, it had to make sense. And of course, you did have, you know, quick success with Rich Man and other stuff, although it may not seem quick for you. But of course, he was hurt. Here it is, you're leaving. You're not able to. He was making a movie and all these other things and wanting you to wait. Now, and we know him being upset. We know about making sure that you got invited to First Avenue for that show, and he's calling you out.
Where's my Punk of the Month button? I made up Punk of the Month button. Do you know I got one for you, Dr. Funkenberry. You got to see it.
I can't wait. Like, I just hearing that those were made in shirts, I'm like, oh my God, that was so awesome. I'm glad that you did that. It didn't take it too much to heart. Now, after that happened, when was the next time that you guys like kind of like ran into each other and everything seemed cool? Because no one asked that.
You know,
it probably.
I'm trying to think of the next time I saw him. I think that I went to see him at a show, but I don't remember where it was or what year it was. But we were still on the outs, if you want to call it that. We had not had a conversation yet. And it was in December. And I remember going back, and he saw me, and he let me backstage. I went up and I shook his hand, and I said, "Happy holidays, man." And he went, "Holidays, holidays, holidays." And then he left. So evidently he didn't celebrate holidays, but I don't think he was a Jehovah's Witness at that point in time. So I thought that was kind of hilarious. But here's the funny thing about our relationship. Yeah, it was super on and off. And, you know, the thing that I want people to remember is that when I was out at Paisley in the mid-90s, tagging along with my big brother, he and I didn't necessarily speak during that entire time I was there. I was playing on his record, not his records necessarily, but I was playing on records that were on Paisley Park, George Benson's records, many things that were coming through Mavis. And if he did not want me there, I would have been escorted out immediately. So, and I don't really understand. I mean, I know why I went back to Paisley is because my brother was there, and Ricky and I were absolutely inseparable. We still are. And we make good music, great music together as a family, I believe. And I enhance his productions, and he certainly enhances my production. So when you got a partner like that, you want to make music together because it's easier, and you know that it's going to be, the outcome is going to be what you want it. So Prince, I think we were in New York City doing a David Sanborn record. I was with Ricky again, and I think Ricky's contract came to an end, and it was around 1996. And you may have heard the story before too. So we're moving all the stuff out of Ricky's office. I still hadn't seen Prince, and I wrote him a note. I said, "Dude, I know you and I haven't seen eye to eye in a long time, but I want to just say thank you for what you've done for me and what you've done for my family, what you've done for my brother. Doesn't go unnoticed. I hope we can patch things up, yada, yada," something like that. It was closure for me because we were moving physically out of the building. I get a phone call the next day that says, "Prince wants to talk to you." I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I was trying to get closure here. So I go upstairs to his little apartment up there. He lets me sit in there without him coming in to see me for about a good 20, 25 minutes, which seemed like 5 hours, because we hadn't talked yet. And he wanted to have that little edge or whatever. And we had a conversation, and he said, "What do you do?" I said, "What do you mean, what do I do?" I said, I've been in your building for 4 years making music. He said, "You make a living making music?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "You want to join my band?" I was like, "What?" He said, "You want to join my band?" I'm like, "Tell me more." He said, "Well, you're going to have to stop eating meat." And I was like, "No, man. No." And we howled and we laughed. And he said, "Oh, you're going to be like Michael Bland. Meet me down at the steakhouse, aren't you?" And we had a riot, man. And I think that's where the ice was broken. And we started, everything was kind of seemed cool from that moment on.
Right. And then like later on, he does the Welcome to Australia tour in 2012. And then he's sending myself and sending you stuff like rehearsals of them jamming and then doing old time stuff and family stuff, or Days of Wild and Loose and all these things. And then I don't know where it came from, but I know that there was some sort of slam. And then
I slammed him right back.
Yes. And that's what I'm going to talk about, because Welcome to America is coming out and Hot Summer is on there.
Oh, no. What a terrible song. Are you serious? I
wonder
gave him so much shit for that song.
Hot Summer at Menards.
Yeah, I made it into like a Home Depot commercial. Hot Summer at Menards. Toro lawn bags and Hot Summer. It's going on in the background. Don't forget about, your lawn and garden equipment. Hot Summer. And I sent that shit to him. I did it down here with Eric Leeds, and we were howling. And I'm like, do I dare send this to him? And he's like, send it. We sent it off. I don't know whether he sent it to me first or the slam to me first, or I sent the slam to him. But, it felt like 1983 again when we were doing that shit with Sheila E. and me and him. And it was funny.
I love
that's a very bad song, though. He's written a lot of great songs, everybody. So don't get me wrong, but that one is not one of them.
It's just, I love that you guys did it, because I know that he was calling out the time and calling you guys out like, "Hey, I need to know Australia." And Jerome hits me up. He's like, "Is he being serious? Is he saying this?" And then there was a diss towards the time, and I went, "Jerome, you and Morris gotta hit back. Like this, it'll be like a battle of the bands, but now through social media, you need to do it."
Right.
And like down, I love that you did it. I wish that they would have done it, because there may have been, because Prince in his sense of humor, he would have hit back in a different way, especially with you guys doing it and the time doing it. I wish.
I gotta see if I've got it. I gotta see if I've got it.
I mean, I just wonder if that's gonna be the version that ends up on Welcome to America.
I think you should put my version on there.
There you go. I mean, I think you can have it on the website.
Oh, no, it's not. I don't think I'm gonna find it. Dang it. Anyway,
someone will send it through Twitter and we'll retweet it. But
wait,
you found it.
I might have it. Where is it? You little son of a! I just had it. Double click on it.
So funny. Hot Summer at Menards.
I don't know whether it's going to come through.
Go for it.
I got to see, but I'm not prepared. I'm not set up. Dang it!
It's all good. We'll figure it out. They'll have
to do it later or something. Yeah.
There's a post on it, and it'll be around. I'm sure by the time that we finish this, there's gonna be someone on Twitter. Here you go. They'll have the audio up on SoundCloud.
Someone send it back to me so we can hear it, would you? Because evidently I'm being challenged here.
And that's then, so funny. I know, he'd send me stuff on you guys. Like he was all like, I want F to Lex to concentrate, talk about what's going on now. I'm talking about what's in the past. Like, that's why it's like I make sure, like when I'm going to have you on, I don't want to talk about the old times. I want to talk about what you're up to now, because I want to see.
Oh yeah.
And that's what he was being about then, but he was doing it in a weird way. But I know that even though like he can be a little bit of a jerk at times, he still had love for you. I mean, you guys hung out at the Grove backstage after the shows here in Southern California in 2013. You know,
We sure did. You want do you you want to hear a funny story about that?
absolutely.
So it's right after Jelly Bean came out with an article. He was cussing everybody out he could get his hands on, Prince, Morris, and so I was hanging back. I was hanging with Michael Jackson, bass player, and Prince saw me, and we were super friendly. He said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I'm like, "Sure." We go to a different part of the room, and he said, "Can't you control your band? Can't you control your band?" I'm like, "What are you referring to, Jelly Bean?" I'm like, "First of all, no. Number one. Number two, call Jelly Bean on the phone. This is your brother for 45 years. I'm not getting in the middle of this. Y'all two working out. I can control my band. You can't control yours." I'm like, "No, they're all 60 years old. I cannot control my band." And how we laughed, man. It was all good. You know, he always still tried to be Prince with me, and just and I wasn't taking it anymore. You know, I just would be, come on, man. Let's get real here.
He sent me an email through his manager at the time, Julia. Like, next time you see Paul, I want you to talk to him. And it was about other stuff. So when we saw you at the Grove backstage after the show, and then you guys went to the private area, like me and Julia looked at each other like, oh man, like what mood he's gonna be, because he was just hanging back with Rashida, who was spinning. But we always wondered what that conversation was. So it's great to know.
That was it. That was it. He wanted to see if I could control Jelly Bean and my other bandmates in Afterlife. I'm like, nope, I can't.
You know, and it's just so awesome because you had Third Eye Girl there, you had yourself there, you had the twins. It's just all this mixture of people that was so cool. And I wish that people could understand it. They try to put 80s bands or 80s proteges against the other people. Like, you guys were all getting along. We're all chilling, hanging out on the couch, listening to the music, having a good time, until it's like Julia, I think, goes over to you, "Hey, Paul, Prince wants to see you for a minute," or whatever.
I've been summoned again.
Yeah, the first time I was summoned, because like my whole identity was just hiding myself. And then I'm like, I'm being told Prince wants you to come to the studio at midnight tonight. And I went, no. Like, what do you mean no? And I'm all like, this whole thing for over a decade of us not talking has worked out wonderfully. And then she's like, "Oh, call him." And then I get a call. Like, I talked to Ruth, and then she goes, "You've been summoned. You can't say no. Everything has changed now." So then I got a call back 5 minutes later, and he's like, he wants you there at midnight. And I'm like, all right, I'll be there. But if it wasn't for Ruth, I wouldn't have went, you know?
Really?
I knew people that ended up working for him, and they ended up hating him and not being able to listen to his music. But his music and your music and everyone's music was such a huge part of my fiber. It was a lot. And I just didn't want that to be ruined. And of course, it never happened. But it's just, you know, this whole time, he only figured out who I was, the online persona, and the person being at the house parties and all these concerts for a few decades. He only figured out after the Forum run in 2011. So the next time he's in LA and he's with the studio with Andy Allo, that's when you get the call to go. And I'm like, no. But I think we're just like, what do you mean no? And I don't think Julia understood that we never talked before, you know? But
that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Within an hour, we were fighting. We were fighting over Masters and YouTube and this other stuff. But then we're chilling. We went to the studio.
Welcome to the family.
Right? I mean, within an hour. And I think it made Julia and Andy feel a little bit uncomfortable. But then we drove around LA talking about the music business, playing me new music from his laptop in his bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel. But it's just crazy, man. Like, these little things of like, you've been summoned, like, you get it. You know, it's just things like that. But
you know what's funny, man, is let me tell you something about being summoned in your teenage years to being summoned when you're 45 or whatever. When I was 17, I was terrified. You know, you're terrified. Number one, because he's your boss. Number two, because you're on his payroll, right? And number three, he's the most powerful guy in the music business. When he would summon me, like for the F Deluxe or the family name thing, I'd been around the block enough times and was confident in myself as a man and a musician. And, you know, that's an intimidation tactic. It just is. Right. And I'm a Christian and I put that armor on and I'm walked in there. I'm like, look, we're just going to talk like men. And I think he could smell that a mile away. And the fact that we had a very cool conversation about, that name thing. And he had some super valid points and I shared my valid points with him. We had a great time. Again, another great encounter, but way different than what it would have been if I was 17. You feel like you're being called to the principal's office every time that happens. So, but it is all good, man. And I see Corey saying it's all goodness, and it is all goodness. And it's sad, man, that we don't have him here because there were so many more hangs to come. And I felt that coming. And we talked about what we were going to do with the family record, how we were going to reissue it. During that last summons, and when he was walking me down the corridor from the kitchen, where Sam did that mural, and it was dark as hell, right? And he's walking down the hall. There's no lights on, and the only lights were coming from his light up tennis shoes. I'm like, Prince, your shoes are. And we laughed, and he said, "Have you seen the wall?" I'm like, "No, I haven't been here in years." He said, "That's you on my wall. You belong there." And I was just like, "Dude, really?" He said, "Now," I said, "Prince, what would it look like if we were to do have you involved and do a family record?" He said, "Well, we'd reissue the record and do a couple new ones." And I said, "Say the word, man. Say the word." And unfortunately, that never, happened. He had the stuff on his plate. And so all good encounters, man. And I'll tell you, that's why I go back, especially for charity. And when I'm summoned, I go back because I feel, of course, he was such an important part of the beginning of my career and continues to be what I'm probably for the rest of my life going to be known for, those 3 or 4 years I was in that camp. And I'm honored to be able to give back to my community by, I don't even know if your fans know this, but probably a dozen tours in now, auctioning off tours at Paisley Park, and I'm your tour guide. And it's been great. I've raised a lot of money for, our local YMCA, where I just took someone there with this past Sunday, and it was like a trip to Mecca for these guys. And all I'm there to do is raise money for my community, have some alumni coming back, and sharing some experiences. And we're going to do that again. And I would really love for your fans to know about this, because I'm on the board at our local YMCA, and in a week and a half, we will have a VIP tour for 4 Up on this particular auction. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share with you that information once it's up and live. Fly in. It's worth it. You're giving the money. I don't get anything. It ain't about me. About us having a good time, giving back to my community, and going out to Paisley and sharing some experiences. So, Tim, yeah, we did carpool karaoke. If anybody saw that, we sure did. We did carpool karaoke. We did High Fashion, and we all sang at the top of our lungs. It was killer.
With Eric Rogers of the Paisley Fine.
And Miss Lulu, yeah. It was fantastic.
Didn't want to call her Amber by mistake, but yes, Miss Lulu is the right name. Now, how often do you do these tours? Is it once a month, or how often?
No, only when I decide to offer that. And I don't know. Now, because they were closed for a while, there's a bunch piling up on me. But it's a cool experience. I pick them up in a donated Escalade from my buddy who lives up the street, who owns this dealership. So we style. We tell some stories. We tell some lies. and we go out there. And this particular tour was also, we had dinner as well. So, but Tim, tell them about. Oh, good. Tim just put the link up there about the carpool karaoke.
Awesome.
You'll laugh your ass off. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it, Tim? Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sure. We'll have to share that on the page if we haven't already. I may have shared it earlier this week, but regardless, let's put it back up. Now, let me ask you, because when I've been to Paisley, there's times where I still feel the energy there. Is there times when you're there that there's just something you can't explain? Or is it just my weird ass? Like all of a sudden feeling nothing's there.
The only reason it's weird is because it's his house and he ain't there. And you see elements or artifacts, as they call it now, of him everywhere. You know, these little mannequins with his clothes on. I mean, and if you look the wrong way, it's like, whoa, you know, and it feels like he's there. And this mystique, I think they've done a good job of keeping some of the mystique, you know, as best they can with trying to keep the place open, right? I personally think they've done a really nice job. I do. I really do. But as far as the feeling them there, probably the most when I performed with F Deluxe during the celebration and that light was on in the corner, you know, the symbol light. And I was like, oh, dang, dude, I feel you, but I wish you were here just to give me some shit, you know, and to summon me and scold me. And we could have one of them conversations again.
Yeah. It's weird. I sometimes just feel the energy. That's why it's like I want people to go there, because he wanted to be a museum and all these other things. And then we're trying to keep it alive, you know, and just especially this year has been tough. And I'm just glad it's still around. And I want other generations to be able to experience it, to be able to hopefully record there, possibly your daughter. You guys, again,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You know, not just Beck. I'd love the Peterson family to be back in the studio there for sure.
God, you know, it's so funny. I will say this, man. I went on the tour on Sunday with Tim and everybody. They let me back behind the board at Studio B. And I did so many records there with my brother and Tom Tucker, who's also gone. It was super emotional. I was like, oh, I've missed you. And I hugged the studio chair. And I was like, I was super emotional, man. There was an incredibly great musical times there in my career, in my life. And it means a lot to me. That place and that room especially mean a lot to me. So I'm thankful that they preserved it. I'd love to make another record on there. I did help. I don't know if you know this, but the record that Prince's sister put out on her father, I helped her with. I don't even know if you know this.
I haven't know that, or I didn't look at the notes well enough, so that's on me.
Well,
with Sharon,
no,
right?
I'm not evidently included in the notes, Jeremiah.
Oh, so I didn't get it wrong. Okay, like I was like I try to be this absorbation of information, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I think she forgot. She somehow forgot.
Kind of like her brother would on some credits, right?
Yeah, but anyway, my point is that I was out in at Paisley, and we were allowed, or the family was allowed, to record there. And she called me, and I hired my friend Adi Ashaya to do a string arrangement for her. So since I was the guy doing the hiring and all that, we went to Paisley in Studio B and got to record. And I was like, oh, it feels so good to be here, man. So, yeah, little side eye. That's right, but.
And you do a little head nod with it a little bit sometimes, but yeah, it's for sure. Never experienced that.
Lulu. Miss Lulu's on today.
Yes.
I bet
joins us as well, but they may see this later on. But it's all good, as they say. Now, what do you have planned for the rest of the summer? You're not going to be jogging in this heat, right?
I ran yesterday.
Oh,
but you got to see. it's almost my bedtime. That's how old I am. But I get up at 6 and I go running at 6:30, 7 o'clock. So that's what I do before it gets too ugly. However, I ran 5 on Saturday before it got hot, and I paid the price. Dude, it's so hot that I was faint and all sorts of other lovely things. So people, you gotta be careful, man. I always think that I'm invincible, and I evidently am not. So I'm taking it easy. My wife and I have, like I said, we bought this house when my mom passed. This is where I grew up. Mom put in a pool in 1983, so we have a pool in back. So that's my job. I'm the pool guy. I'm the pool man, and I also go swim in that pool. So we're staying cool. But no, I'm keeping in shape. I'm training for a half marathon the last week of July. I haven't done a full marathon for about 3 years. I've had trouble doing long distances. My legs are saying, I don't believe we're going to do that for you anymore. So I'm trying to eke out a half marathon, and I just don't, I want to make sure that I don't get that COVID-19 on my belly. The COVID, it's scary because you sit around for a year and a half and eat and don't run. So I'm trying to reverse all that. And so that's what I got planned. I've got my own Peterson Music and Events company. We do a lot of virtual events. We're doing one for a local Y here, and we've got some concerts that I produce that we have coming up. And I don't know if your fans know this side of me, but I was also in the Steve Miller Band for how many years? 5 years or something like that, and played with Peter Frampton. So I have a band called the Classic American Rockers, and we're doing a few shows as well. People who played with Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, Bob Dylan, they're all in my family. So it's really a family band, but we're playing classic rock, and it's so much fun. So yeah, we're slowly getting back into it. I'm playing a gig at a place called Crooners, which is a great, incredible club here in Minneapolis in Fridley, and that's with my brother Ricky, and it's like a huge big band, funk big band. And if you're here in Minneapolis, you come check that out, or else they might be streaming that online as well. So we're getting back into it, man. We're I'm anxious to get out and plan. I've got 2 shows. I got one in Durand, Wisconsin with the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars on August 7th. And I got another one here in Minneapolis in Maplewood, September 18th. So there you go. Cody wants to see the rock side. Dude. Yeah. Oh, somebody's asking me if I'm going out live with Debbie Gibson. Yeah, that's another person I've been touring with. She's awesome, man. I love her. She's like my little sister.
Only in my dream I'd be touring with Debbie Gibson, but I'm bummed.
Hey-oh. She's great. She's doing some Vegas dates. I don't think I'm involved with those Vegas dates. Not yet, anyway. Right. I'll let you know. She's a great chick. I love her so much.
And before we let you go, we'll take some questions from the audience. There's also someone that wants to know what it was like. They want you to come back to Australia. Number one, another person wants to know what was it like performing with Lake Minnetonka?
Oh, I was absolutely killing. I love playing with Lake Minnetonka.
Awesome. And Australia, maybe sometime in the next year, hopefully. I mean, things are working there.
I sure hope so. I went there so much a few years back. I love that place. I mean, I literally could live there. Melbourne is like Minneapolis. It's so similar, and I love the people there, and they love the funk, and they've been very, very, very good to me. So I can't wait to come back to Australia. I can't wait to go to Europe again. We had a nice little European tour, and we were going to go back a year and a half ago, and that all went away. But we're coming back, man. I know I'm going to be touring off this record that I'm doing that comes out in September. So I'm hoping that we will be able to see a lot of you in the very near future, and we'll keep you posted. If we decide to do an F Deluxe gig this year, I hope. Go bug Susanna's page.
Yes, and now Susie wants to put you on the spot. She's all like, "Can you tell us a funny story about Prince and Morris Day?" Do you have one?
I don't even have one.
There you go.
No. No, I
Have
didn't see those two. But when I was around, they weren't interacting. Morris was on the outs with friends. Sorry.
see, and your boy Paul Peterson, but spelled with a D instead of a P. He wants to know what
Oh
your
yeah,
favorite breakfast is.
my favorite breakfast. My favorite. Well, it depends on if I'm being healthy or not healthy. If I'm being healthy, it's a protein shake with peanut butter, superfood greens, a banana, peanut butter, and frozen berries. Whip that sucker up, and then you're good till noon.
That sounds delicious.
If I'm being bad or it's the weekend, go ahead and give me an egg sandwich with some cheddar cheese and some bacon, and maybe a cinnamon roll. We all get to be bad once in a while, right? See, my downfall. I quit drinking 21 years ago, and my downfall is sugar. I like sugar, and I like ice cream. So that's my downfall. Is that so? That's why I keep running so I can keep consuming more ice cream.
Marilyn wants to know what's your most memorable on-stage mishap.
Let me think about that for a minute. It's probably when I was on the road with the Steve Miller Band with my two brothers. And we would maybe have a few cocktails before we'd go out. I'm not sure. We went out. The stage was made of plexiglass. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They would put smoke from the smoke machines. Was an oil-based smoke machine. And if you go try to find me with the Steve Miller Band from 1991 or something like that, you'll see that I had a very beautiful mullet. I didn't wear much clothing. I was spinning and doing all sorts of shit all over the stage. And I fell on my ass in front of, 20,000 people. I was gone, done, on the ground. And my brother came right over the top of me, very rock and roll. Just, are you okay, little brother? That was probably my greatest mishap. Thank you very much.
Awesome. A couple more questions. We're going to lock it up. This one just has to do, hey, St. Paul, what was your experience like being in the time in 84? What was it like being in Purple Rain?
Well, at the time, we didn't know how big this was going to be. We thought it was just part of the job. We didn't have a clue that it would become what it became. Looking back on that now and those experiences, I just saw my brother at First Avenue the other day on Bob Dylan's 80th birthday. My brother Billy, whom you may not know, played on Blood on the Tracks. So Billy was asked to go there and celebrate Bob's birthday. And of course, I'm talking to my big brother Ricky sitting on the side of the stage. And I'm like, I was standing right here where they'd hand out cartons of cigarettes so we could get the club full of cigarette smoke. And I'd be smoking and doing all that. And so there are so many memories that are involved. Showing my kids, like, for instance, I took my daughters down to one of Bobby Z's fundraisers. And I took and they played Purple Rain that night. We sat in Purple Rain in First Avenue watching Purple Rain. And I had to point out to my daughters who had never seen Purple Rain before where I was standing. It's such an incredible honor to have participated in that. It's just unbelievable. It's like, did I really do that? So I'm very honored. It's so cool, and it's something that I could be able to tell my grandbaby someday.
Awesome. And Derek, I'm not ignoring your question about where we can get a physical copy of you and Erica Lee's album. Paul said he's going to be working on getting that out, physical copies. And
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. And then we covered it earlier. Make sure to come back and watch it again. Paul would enjoy it. Susie wants to know, how old were you when you started playing instruments? And I have one more question after that. We're closing it up.
So Susie, I don't know if you were here earlier, but this, where I'm sitting right now, is the house that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. I bought this from my family when my mom passed away. This basement is where I learned how to play the drums. Can you see the? Oh wait, hold on. The drums, right? The keyboard. There used to be a grand piano down here. So I started playing drums at age 2, and could play Wipeout, the song Wipeout, at age 4. Started taking piano lessons at 4. Started playing guitar at age 6, I guess. I'm not sure when I transitioned to bass. But you got to remember something. This was a very unusual household. I'm the youngest. My mother and father played. My 4 sisters and brothers played. I thought everybody played. I just thought that every family did what we did. And it was a natural progression for me to switch instruments. And I would go up to my buddies and go, "What's your parents play? What do you play?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" So I didn't find out, of course, until when I was 10 or 15, that this was such an incredibly special musical family. And I just learned so much of it from hanging out with my family and through osmosis, and then ultimately gigging with them when I turned professional when I was 15.
Very awesome. And I want to here's the last question. I want to thank Paul so much for his time and being so generous with it. And I really do like this question. What was your favorite album you listened to during lockdown? I like that one.
I have to think about that. There's a dude that I love, and it's not a new record. He's got a new record out now. His name is Jared Lawson. Are you hip to this guy? Jared Lawson is a kid from Portland, Oregon, who sounds like Stevie. He is he's unbelievable. He just sings like crazy and writes great songs. And go check him out. He's really special. He's really got it. So go check him out. And of course, then my kids, Jean Taylor. You got to love my kid's record. Go check her out.
Absolutely. And in closing, Paul, is there anything that you want to say? And I appreciate your time so much. Go ahead, my man.
I just want to thank all your fans, all the Prince fans. Don't forget that why we make music. We make music because music unites us, especially in Minneapolis, but throughout the world. What we need now is that unification. And the Prince family really is good about inclusion, and including people of whatever color, whatever your religion, race, sexual preferences. I am so impressed by the way you welcome people in. You are one ginormous family that I'm proud to be a part of. We need to teach the rest of the world what that's all about, because it's embarrassing to see how we're treating each other. We need to do better. We need to get educated. We need to love on each other. That's the only way this is going to work out good, is if we do that. And we have an incredible opportunity to do that. And we can do that. That's what I try to do through my music. I try to share my music through Funk Friday every week to give everybody a little breather, just to go, "Oh, that was nice," and get away from their lives. And that's what it should be. I know Prince would want that. And I know that that's my wish for all of you, is just be good to each other, be a light, don't be divisive, be a uniter, and let's do that and pass that on to everybody you know.
There you go, my man. And Eric joining us, just want to say Paul is one of the most fantastic men ever, coming from the Paisley 5 and Dime.
I love those guys. I love Eric, Miss Lulu. They're very special to me. And don't forget to look out for that Paisley Park auction item that I'm going to send to you, Dr. Funkenberry. I need your help. We need to raise money. We want these kids to be able to go to camps. We want these kids to know how to swim. Too many kids drowning around my neighborhood. That's what the Y does. That's what separates them from everybody else, as they're a part of our community. We need to support them and to be able to send these kids to camp who don't have the money to go. So that's where I'm coming from.
100%. Paul, again, thank you so much for being on. It's always a pleasure to have you on, my man.
Honored to be here. And you take care of yourself.
I will be doing the best.
All right, bro.
All right, my man.
Do the best you can. We'll be praying for you, man. And much love to you, and much love to to everybody out there.
Sounds good, my man. Be well. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up here, and we are going to do an after show to kind of take some of your questions with other stuff going on, see what you guys think of Born to Die and other things going on. Again, I want to thank Paul for being our special guest this week. It's always a pleasure to have him on. And I will see you guys back here shortly. There won't be any outfit change, I don't think. But thank you guys so much for tuning in live, and the people that haven't or are watching this later on. Thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube, checking us out on Apple Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you listen to podcasts. Till next time, much love, keep it funky, and thank you, Prince.